President Trump says that the U.S. may be heading into a recession because of the coronavirus. The Federal Reserve has cut interest rates to near zero in an attempt to strengthen the U.S. financial system. Joining us now, John Taylor, Hoover Institution Senior Fellow and the author of Choose Economic Freedom, and Sarah Bloom Raskin, former Federal Reserve Governor and former Deputy Secretary of the Treasury. Just to get the ground rules straight, John and Sarah, do either of you have advanced degrees in biological science? I guess not, right, John?
Wish I had to use for right now.
Exactly.
Exactly. So we all have opinions about how this is going to work out. It's just the unknown is quite daunting, John. So I guess we'll just go to the policy response, either fiscally or monetarily, and we keep saying necessary but not sufficient. What do you make so far of what the Fed has tried to orchestrate, and what do policymakers need to do from here?
Well, the Fed certainly laid out all it had. I think it needs to be more specific about what's next. People are worried about that. They've had this experience with forward guidance, so to speak, in the past. I think they also need to be very specific about what they're doing. I think there's still a little question about what the interventions are for. They weren't taken up completely. So I would say more specificity. In 2008, 2009, we had the term auction facility. People were talking about using that again. It wasn't clear it worked at the time. More specific actions and the reasons are important for the Fed right now.
Your comments, Sarah?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with John. He's got that right. I mean, not only, first of all, we all know QE is not an infectious disease cure. That aside, the Fed could be not just more aggressive, but I would say to be really, really more forceful on that emergency lending piece, because it has yet to trickle down to the small businesses. Businesses at this point are really facing really treacherous decisions in terms of their ability to continue. If they can't max out on their lines of credit without being penalized in terms of delinquencies and defaults, they're going to have a hard decision to make, which is going to be to lay off people. And we know when that happens that it really is almost too late. We can't let firms engage in massive layoffs, because, of course, what we do to consumer demand at that point is going to be very hard to turn around. So the more ability we can be giving small businesses now in terms of staying afloat, I think the better. And even though the Fed, of course, did what it did on emergency lending, it's really going to be up to the banks to be taking it up aggressively and saying more to their borrowers than just, do you need any help? It's got to be a real sit down with them to work with them and give them the opportunity to actually restructure their lines or give them the advantage of these very, very cheap lines of credit so that small businesses can be staying afloat right now. And we're talking here, we're talking the restaurants and the dry cleaners, the bars, the realtors, the Uber drivers. By the way, speaking of that side of the equation, I think there's quite a bit of work that has to be done here with expanding the use of unemployment insurance. The unemployment insurance mechanism really comes too late in this, for issues like this. That is for people who have already lost their jobs, but we do have to do something for people whose hours have been cut back, or for people who have 1099 and Schedule C income and are right now having a very hard time figuring out how to pay their bills.
Right. So, Professor Taylor,
I would say,
Sarah,
Fed action is fine, but it's got to be much more aggressive, much more aggressive.